and welcome to Yoga for the Barn Aisle presented by Callebaut Yoga. I'm your host, Makayla, an equestrian life coach, combining the three pillars of Callebaut Yoga, horses, psychology, and yoga, to present to you today's podcast episode all about the pressure to level up as an equestrian. When thinking about this topic, I had in mind the equestrians I know that are preparing for the next show season or event season, whatever discipline they may be practicing. But I also want this episode to be applicable to the equestrians that I'm going to label as at-home equestrians. So maybe they have their horses retired, or their horses are older now and they're no longer going to these events, shows, etc. So here the idea or pressure to level up is this idea of getting through the winter to when their horse is probably going to be feeling better in the summer and what they want to use those summer months to really achieve with their horse. Because the winter season is hard for at-home equestrians, it's hard for their horse, it's hard for everyone, but there's just a difference because a lot of at-home equestrians might not have the resources that equestrians in a training program do. I know for myself, I don't have access to a lit or indoor arena. So during the winter months, I am really focusing on the weather, I'm focusing on the daylight hours, and so then moving into summer, I have more opportunity to work with my horse even though he's retired, but work with him, maybe I even ride him for a short walk, but I'm able to do more with him in the summer. So the winter still represents a time to level up and really start figuring out what I need to do now so that come good weather, I can have a successful season. This is applicable to show seasons. What are you doing now in the winter off season to be ready for the first show of the season, whether that's thermal in January and February, or if you're waiting for some local shows in April and May. So I want to start off by acknowledging that for a lot of equestrians, this idea of leveling up has to do with their partnership with their horse and getting from one show level to the next, or one skill set to an improved skill set. And while I think having this type of goal is great and something to be worked towards, I want to take this podcast episode to talk about something else. I want to look at leveling up for the equestrian, for the person solely by themselves without necessarily referencing their horse or their horse's skill set. The one caveat is by working on yourself, especially from a yoga and psychology lens like I will, you're going to end up leveling up in your connection with your horse. So there's a little bit of a caveat here, but we're really going to be focusing on you and yourself as an equestrian and what you can do, especially in the winter season, feeling the pressure to level up as we're approaching New Year's and New Year's resolutions are being set. So thinking about the pressure to level up, we need to go back to the idea of mindfulness. And mindfulness is kind of a social media, modern pop psychology phenomenon, right? And while mindfulness is a really great word to use when looking to be more intentional, I really want to dissect what it means. So mindfulness, automatically you think of mental health, or that's my assumption. But mindfulness is so much more than that. Mindfulness includes the connection you have to your body, to your health, to yourself. So this isn't just about mental health. Mindfulness, especially for an equestrian, includes all these things that impact them and what they're able to do with their horse. So as an equestrian, we need to be aware of our body. We need to be aware of our mental state. And we need to be aware of our emotional regulation skills so that when things happen, whether we're on our horse or next to our horse, we can help guide our horse through the situation with confidence and with intentionality. That's why starting with mindfulness is so important. You need to know yourself better so that you can lead your horse. And I'm going to tell a little bit of a personal narrative that took me years to figure out with Bo. I was in I was in the middle of my yoga teacher training, and with that comes a lot of mindfulness work, mind-body connection, which is the literal definition of yoga. But I started to notice a pattern. If I was a little stressed or feeling, I'm going to say wound up in any way, I could notice changes in Bo, in how his behavior was, in his body language, in his energy. My energy was affecting him. And I remember it so clearly. I was in the arena and I was hand walking him, and he turned around to kind of like nip at me. And I just remember being like, stop that, don't. And I kind of like moved into him to ask him to move away from me, right? I did the trainer thing. I did the, hey, that's not okay. Used it as a moment. And I remember reacting and being like, that felt like a bigger reaction than what was needed by his behavior. Like, I didn't need him to get away from me that far. I just needed to kind of like, hey, nope, let's redirect, right? I could have been kinder about it. I could have been less extreme. And by no means was I beating on him or anything. I just, in that moment, I was like, that really didn't facilitate the reaction I had. Well, then I noticed even further that my shoulders were up. And I had been walking with my shoulders closer to my ears, then allowing them to drop and just be relaxed. And so I took a second and I just tuned into my own breath. And I thought about releasing the energy. I think I had closed my eyes at the time just to really get in tune. And I was inhaling and exhaling through my nose and sighing out through my breath, asking my shoulders to release whatever tension I was holding. And when I refocused back in on Bo, his energy had dropped. His head had lowered. His body had relaxed. And that was one of the real moments that I fully understood my connection with Bo and how my energy really showed itself in his behavior back towards me. So now, if I'm having a day where I'm feeling extra anxious, I might not even touch him or do anything with him that day. I might just go sit with him. And I do that because I know I don't want to have an overly critical reaction to his behavior, especially if it stems from my energy. And this is one of those things that the more energy and mindfulness work you do with yourself, the more you're going to be able to differentiate when you're bringing the energy to the barn or when your horse is having an off energy day. And there's a difference. And it takes time and repetition to start to notice this. But I truly believe this is one of the most important lessons I have to teach as an equestrian life coach with my psychology and yoga knowledge to back me up. Because this has transformed how I approach my equestrian life. And it goes back to, this is how equestrians need to focus on leveling up, especially in the winter. You don't level up in the saddle if you don't recognize how your energy affects your horse. And going beyond that, mindfulness and mental health care includes emotional regulation. So if you notice that you're having an anxious day or you're a wound up bundle of energy, what are the techniques that you know work for you that you can apply so that in maybe 5-10 minutes, you can try to reapproach your horse and try to start the day off different. And there are days that you might just need a day, and that's okay too. I am one that had gone into lessons and told my trainer, hey, I'm having an off day. I don't know, I'm gonna do my best, but today might not be my best day. And my trainer at the time was like, okay, thanks for letting me know, that's helpful. And you know what? My horse was great for me that day. He really brought his effort, and he supported me on a day that he could tell that I wasn't fully able to really be there for him. And that goes to prove that I have always really focused on my connection with the horse, because I knew that I wanted to have his back and I wanted him to have me. That's why I trust my horses with my life, because I have done the work to connect with them and understand their body language, and also give them time to trust me, to know that I am going to look out for you. But this all starts with your own body and mind. You can't look out for your horse or someone else if you don't know how to look out for yourself. So leveling up starts with you. It starts with your mental health. And I, as a psychology major, I will advocate, if you think you are someone that would do really well seeing a therapist, maybe you go that route and you see if you can get in to seeing a psychologist, or a cognitive behavioral therapist tends to be a common one that a lot of people go see. Maybe you choose to work with a mindfulness coach, someone like me. Maybe you go to more yoga classes to understand a little bit more of yoga philosophy. If you're looking for a type of world that is all-encompassing of mindfulness and ways to achieve mindfulness. So I want to leave the episode here because I want you to choose what is best for you. And I use all of the options I just mentioned. I have yoga coaches, I see a therapist, I do the work that I present to you guys. And beyond that, I then work with body workers and different mindfulness-esque coaches with my relationship with my horse. So use whatever resources you can get at your disposal. Use them to focus and shift the pressure from leveling up in the ring to leveling up in your equestrian self this winter. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this episode. It was a bit of a reality check. It was kind of a hard truth type of episode, but it means the world to me that you are still here. Please give the podcast a like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment or rate wherever you're at. And then if you're feeling extra generous, I would be so eternally grateful if you shared this episode with someone who you think it would be impactful for. I'm looking to grow the Callebaut Yoga community through this podcast, and I can't wait to have a community of equestrians who want to work together and empower each other to grow and build their equestrian toolkits. If you're looking for more, hop on to callebautyoga.com and subscribe to the email list. This is where you'll get VIP access to new and upcoming workshops, online programs, and courses, as well as getting inside access to helping me build these programs. That way you get exactly what you want out of these programs, because I'm looking to know what exactly you want from me as an equestrian life coach. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.